Alderman Moore, Alderman French, Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderman Carter,
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Here.
Alderman Ogilvy,
Here.
Chairman Conway,
Present.
Alderman Kennedy, Alderman Moore, Alderman French, 5 present, you have a quorum.
Okay. I would move first that we take up Board Bill number 209. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll so that we can take up Board Bill number 209 first?
Alderman Kennedy, Alderman Moore, Alderman French, Alderman Vaccaro,
Yeah, aye.
Alderman Carter,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderman Ogilvy,
Aye.
Chairman Conway,
Aye.
Alderman Kennedy, Alderman Moore, Alderman French, 5 yes votes.
Thank you.
And this is a pass out.
Okay. Alderwoman Ingrassia on 205.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm here before you today on 209. This would allow the sale of a vacant lot in the Gate District to John Fortunato with GAA Builders. He's done a number of projects throughout the city, including the SIP board. He's going to be purchasing 2809 from a private owner and doing a new infill construction residential project on both lots.
No, I don't need that. I don't need
I'd
that.
be happy to entertain any questions.
Are there any questions for the Alderwoman on Board Bill number 209? If not, then I move that we pass Board Bill number 209 out of committee with a do pass
Previous
recommendation. There's been a request for previous roll. Seeing no objection, Board Bill 209 comes out of committee. That is not the fastest. You've got to ask questions fast here. Board Bill number 314, Alderman Roddy is still across the hall. And so we're going to have Jim Garavaglia. These are two bills, I believe they're companion.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
And so Mr. Garavaglia will pick up and start, how are you, with Board Bill 314.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. We have before you 314, which is a purchase of property, obviously in the 17th Ward. What you've been handed is the attachments that were completed recently after the introduction of the bill. That's a sale contract, the deed, and another attachment. I have with me today Todd Walterman and Michael Garvin, and I think if it's appropriate, Mr. Chairman, that we ask Mr. Walterman to kind of give us some of the details about what you see here.
Right, that's fine. Mr. Walterman, I know that we had discussed this at length a year ago, or about the getting the jobs and moving forward up with the North Refuge side. So I think people are pretty familiar with it, but
Mr. Chairman, we have a couple of handouts.
that's fine. If you'll give that to the clerk, she'll get it to everyone. You're ready to go.
Yep, all right, Chairman, some handouts going around, some pictures that'll better define it. The ultimate deal is about a year ago, we sold Procter & Gamble bought the North Refuge facility, if you remember. They're gonna provide some more jobs, so that's quickly advancing, and we need to be out of there by the end of the year. That represents about half of our facility that we service the refuse department with, so we need a new site for that. As well as Metro has been maintaining our fire trucks for the past 5 years, and it's come to our attention in the last 18 months that we can no longer do that. The feds who built the building at Metro, they say you can't contract it out. So we need to provide a facility to maintain our fire trucks and to maintain our trash trucks. I've been working on this with Jim and many others in the room here for about 8 years, trying to find a relocation site for refuse. I'm pleased to bring before you a central industrial site, which is a site in Alderman Roddy's ward in the center of the city, which from my 25 years of operational experience makes a lot of sense to put a facility that you're gonna dispatch trucks from in the middle of the city. If you look at page 2 on the blue handout, it talks to that, speaks to that a little bit. If you go to the single white sheet there, it actually lays out the site. If you look at the overview of 1218 Central, you'll see it's a 13-acre site. The dark half to the left side is space that's leased out under this property. on this dark sheet here. And the space to the right is the space we would occupy. We will move all the one-armed bandits and trash trucks that pick up the alley and the street trash will go to this site. Some of the other stuff, your key and repair and that will still be located down south. Just a matter of making this work. It's trying to build something that we can build on. A great central facility for the city to keep going. I would envision years to come, as we get investors buying up other property, forestry's probably next on the block, you know, with our development area up to where they're at, they could actually move into some of this leased area. It's a plan we're building for our kids and our grandkids. Maybe that's a little too much, but I truly believe that. If we go to page 3, it talks about how we finance this. There'll be a companion bill here, the next bill, that'll talk about us borrowing the money. The total cost of this is about $12.1 million. 11.4 is what's on the table under this ordinance. That's the purchase price of the property with about $4 million worth of improvements. So this third of the site I mentioned earlier hasn't been built out. It needs new metal, needs some amenities. It's gonna be set up for ESD to do major repairs to a lot of equipment, all our fire equipment and trash trucks. They do first-class work. We know the other part of the building's all been renovated in the last 6 years. We did site walkthroughs, saw it. I don't know if anybody remembers Joe Cuss. He was the old stick-in-the-mud engineer that retired a couple of years ago, who never thought anything was good. When I walked him through the building, he was smiling from ear to ear. This is very professional work. This kind of lays it out. There's an extra $700,000 you'll see, or additional repairs. We have about $300,000 worth of things we need. We need to put engine heaters in, and we need to buy a truck to service the fire trucks when they're broke down on the street. And then we have a couple $100,000 built in here for extras if we run into some problem in the end. So we will purchase this with 10.6 in the loan and the next bill, and we have $1.5 million cash that was received from the Procter & Gamble transaction. To fund the note, which actually goes in the next bill, our note payment will be made up of the rent that we receive from 2/3 of the site, $450,000 a year. There's a line item in the general revenue budget of $500,000 that was for lease purchase of trash trucks that expires here the end of June, which we will continue to place in the budget to make a payment for this property. And then we have $500,000 of operational savings. When we put these trucks together, we will be able to reduce the number of fleet, and we will be able to reduce the number of operators. When you have 2 sites, you need spare operators sitting around in case somebody calls in sick. So when you have them all at one, you can see how you go from needing 8 to 4, that kind of concept. So it will be savings there, and then the other operational savings comes from ESD. We're currently paying Metro about $1.4 million a year to maintain our fire trucks. In that process, they include a 20% markup on their parts, which will generate about
$280,000.
yeah, it's a $280,000 savings total, and then they also eliminate a foreman or 2 for parts maintenance because we're moving the garage down there. That is the basic crux of the purchase and what we're looking to try to create here. I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. If this occurs, it'll probably be my thing I'm most proud of in my career. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Let's we'll go through and do questions. That rent of $450,000, that will be the current tenants are in there. That's how much rent they're paying now.
Yeah, and Jim may speak a little further to this, but it generates more than that. It's closer to $480,000, and we're expecting to pay about $30,000 for a manager to manage the people that are in there. You know, anytime you have rent, you have light bulbs to change, people to keep happy.
That's just the cost of servicing that. So that's the net.
We believe that in order to best serve these 2 tenants in the way and manner that they're used to being serviced, that we can hire an outside contractor to come in and as Todd said, do the minor repairs and kind of have them, someone that they could call 724 if there's a problem.
You mean they don't have your phone number?
Well, they might have it before.
No, that's fine. Okay, so that's 30 grand. Let me go move on. Okay, the operational savings, you said we're 500,000 just from consolidation. of services and not as much backup.
And taking over the fire repair.
Okay, the $280,000, is that included in the 500 that you mentioned, the 20% times the parts cost?
Yes.
Okay.
Parts, fire labor, and refuse.
Okay.
Labor. Makes it
So that's part,
$500,000.
that makes up part of the 500,000, it's
Yeah.
not on top of the 500, okay, I just
Correct.
wanted to be clear on that. And then, why are we paying this off so fast? You know, normally, if you buy a piece of real, I'm asking why, normally you would pay it over 20 or 30 years. Why are we paying this off so fast?
Mainly, the main reason is that these are not new buildings. These are buildings that were built in stages. The oldest buildings were probably built in the 60s. And I think that when we go and when we talk about the financing piece, I think that, you know, the question that could be raised is, you know, how long will they last? Well, they're gonna last a long time. They're gonna last another 50 years. But I think it was a combination of the age of the buildings and the fact that we thought that with 10-year revenue bonds, which again, you'll hear more about, it was an easier sell in the bond market. And so that's primarily, on advice of those who know more than I do about that, that was the length of time that we would, you know, we're gonna go for.
No, and that's fine, it's just that, you know, we're paying them off awful darn quick. But then after the 10th year, I get the rent and I get the savings forever.
That's correct.
Okay. Alderman Vaccaro,
No questions.
Alderman Carter.
How many trash trucks can you, lease or own to, I mean, with that back?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that was a 4-year payback, I believe, the last time. So we had about $2 million ago, and at that time, they were about $230,000 a piece. So I believe we bought 8 of them, and then we paid the loan out over 4 years. So it provided about 2 trash trucks a year, if you
Okay.
would. But now they're about $265 each instead of $230.
Okay,
It'd be a lot less.
all right. No other questions?
Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions.
Alderman Ogilvy.
Thanks. Remind me what the acreage is at the North Refuse site?
Well, it's rather large. It might be 10 or 12 acres.
We're selling, the North Refuse portion that we sold is a little over 10 acres.
Okay. But we don't need all that space here because,
Well, there was plenty of space. There was a large building to park them in. It's definitely a change in operations. We're getting more to the standards that industry uses. They don't park trash trucks inside, park them close. This is more about the repair garage than
Right.
anything, keep them working. And, yeah, there was surplus space. There was the old incinerator building on the site. We used to burn trash. It was kind of an environmental nightmare. That took up several acres of the land that wasn't usable.
right, okay. But we have enough space to accommodate parking all the trash trucks.
All the one-armed bandits.
Yeah.
So all the big trucks that go out, all that one type of fleet will be there. The bulk trucks and the can maintenance operation will be down at South still.
And the building has sufficient space for all the fire truck maintenance and all the trash truck maintenance.
This is a very deluxe garage for maintaining equipment. You know, I talked about my dream. In the end, I would envision this entire building, when all the tenants are gone, to be a super garage, and we would maintain everything there. And we would be better to share other equipment, share tandems and that between departments. That's kind of the dream.
Do we know how many fit right now?
How many what?
Like how many maintenance spots there are right now?
You can, I think on this drawing here, we can kind of pick that out. Yeah, so each one of these is a bay here. If you look at the other side, the enlarged site drawing, you can see the bays through Z.
Q through Z.
Yeah, Q through Z. Those are the bays where they're planning on having stations to work on the vehicles. And naturally, you see the high bay fire trucks on the lower part. And that was a very significant part of finding this building. To find a building that had 21 feet of clear space under the rafters was very difficult. I didn't say this, but we went in dozens of buildings looking over the last 8 years. and this was one of few that would work.
And is the property under contract right now? Is that?
The contract would have to be approved by ordinance before we get
Okay.
executed.
But it's been negotiated
Yes.
to the point where the price is stable?
Yes,
Okay.
there's a not to exceed price in there.
Okay. And how long are the leases? They're the existing tenant leases?
They will, I'm not sure exactly, but they are long enough to cover the debt service component.
So they have 10 years left on?
Yes.
Okay. And then, just out of curiosity, the operational savings, do we really think we need fewer trucks? Is that?
Honestly, the trash trucks, the number of trucks, we will only reduce as they fall apart. You know, as you know, 30 of our vehicles are 2000 models. So, no, we're not gonna take a running truck and eliminate it, but they will eliminate themselves on their own. So they will be reduced.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Alderman Carter.
So you said that the fire trucks will be coming in too, right?
Yes.
But I thought that recently, didn't they just approve something to build a garage on their own property or use a existing garage?
So there was some ideas floating around about the dream of building a garage up at, Jefferson and Cass.
Right.
But it never got legs, it never had any
Okay.
funding or anything like that.
Okay.
And that was brought up by the firemen themselves and not the people that actually do the wrenching. So the
Okay.
people that do the wrenching, Equipment Service Division is all behind this, and, they're the operations people that do it. So this is where it should be done.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So, here's what we gotta do first. I move that we adopt amendment number 1 to Board Bill number 314, which is the Exhibit A and B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt amendment number 1 to Board Bill 314. There's been a request for previous roll. Seeing no objection, amendment number 1 to Board Bill number 314 has been adopted. Next, I'll move that we pass Board Bill number 314 as amended out of committee with the do-pass recommendation.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded
Previous roll.
that Board Bill number 314 as amended come out of committee with a do-pass recommendation. There's been a request for previous roll. Seeing no objection, Board Bill 314 comes out of committee. Next, we have one more bill that's the companion bill, and that's Board Bill number 318. Hold on, you guys, we gotta do 318, don't leave the room.
Oh, I'm
I
not leaving.
I mean, I know their companion, Jim, or Mike, or whoever's,
I'm ready.
I know we know what the bill is.
Okay.
It's a 10-year,
She's got a handout.
oh, she's got a little handout,
I'm
that's
gonna
even
I'm gonna
nicer.
walk this through very quickly.
All right.
Okay, as you stated, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is the companion bill to 314 that finances through a $13 million borrowing authorized by, it's a leasehold revenue bond authorized by the Municipal Finance Corporation. There's 2 projects that this will finance. The first is what we just heard about in Board Bill 314. The other is some very necessary repairs to the city's municipal garage, where we have 340 city employees parking. I'm not gonna go into all these details that you just heard Todd say. The one thing that I wanna make mention of is, of the $13 million bond issue, part will be tax exempt and part is taxable. And we have outside counsel here in Mark Boatman that can speak to that if you'd like, Mr. Chairman, as to why we're having to do some taxable and tax exempt bonds on this.
No, but let me ask you, on the garage, this parking garage is what the comptroller had wanted in the original GO bill?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, and so, I mean, she did bring in parts of the garage when she came in, at that point in time. And are we including the same amount of money that she had represented to us that we needed to fix up the garage at that previous
Yes,
hearing?
Mr. Chairman, the 1.5 million is exactly what was in the previous no tax increase bond issue.
All right. Are Alderman Vaccaro, any questions? Alderman Carter,
No questions.
Alderwoman Murphy,
No questions.
Alderman Ogilvy.
No questions.
Okay, I would move that we pass Board Bill number 318 out of committee with a due
Second.
pass recommendation.
Previous roll.
It's been moved and seconded, Board Bill number 318 come out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
In previous roll.
There was a request for previous roll, seeing no objection. Board Bill number 318 comes out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee.
I thank you. Let me just ask one, and Todd, how many, I just wanted to go back to these new jobs up at the north side. Does anybody have an idea of how many of the new jobs, you know, besides keeping them here, how many additional jobs we were going to get?
Rob or Jim, have you?
Yeah, I can speak to that. We had a lot of discussions about that point with Procter & Gamble, and they're rather cagey. And what happens is that I'll tell you the way it is.
Well, everybody's
You know.
cagey.
But what happens is, each one of their manufacturing plants compete against each other for new product lines, and when they're more efficient than someone else who makes the same product, after a period of time, they review how good you did, and if you're doing better than somebody else, you get the product line to their detriment. Now, that's the way they work their entire North American and South American operation. So chances are, you know, because of our location geographically, we set up very nicely for not only a manufacturing, but also, of course, a distribution point for more things that they produce. And so they have assured us that they're in competition, because that is a highly efficient plant that they have put a lot of money into to upgrade their production lines, and that I think they came to us and were finally serious after many, many years of back and forth negotiation, because I think they have a role for that facility. They haven't shared it with us yet, but part of, you know, probably in January of 17, they'll be at SLDC's doorstep with a package to increase, you know, production and jobs, and that's when it'll be fully revealed. But I don't know, Rob, did you have any other Rob has spoken to their national real estate manager more recently than I.
And as you said, you know, they don't really publicly disclose this type of information, but the St. Louis plant was the very last plant in the United States that they developed their long-term strategy for, and the main reason for that was that they needed this additional ground to expand upon, or the St. Louis plant was in danger of closing, not immediately, but maybe somewhere down the road. So given its competitiveness, its efficient operation, as Jim said, its location, we feel like this site could easily support another couple of hundred jobs. What they've just invested like $150 million in all the mechanicals of their plant. And
They're on the north side.
on the north side, right? And what they need to do is to free up some of the trailer parking from that site so that they can expand and benefit from this recent investment that they've made in their plant. So
Okay, and then on the environmental problems are up there, that's their responsibility.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Scott?
I just wanted to.
Alderman, I'm sorry, Alderman.
Is Todd still here?
Yeah.
Remind me of the schedule for opening the site and having our operations out of it.
So if everything proceeds and we get approval of this, then I'll have to go out and sell the bonds, and we're looking for maybe mid-November, early December closing and moving in and starting up operations. So what that means is you'll see kind of a transitional budget this coming year of how we leave from, you know, Metro maintaining our fire truck to us doing it.
What is the date that we have to be out of both the North Refuse site and the Metro?
So under our contract, it's the end of this year, the end of this calendar year, we're up, and something that wasn't mentioned here, we received a very strong letter from Procter & Gamble about a month ago. When are you getting out? We're ready to go. So there's signs that they really wanna get going. So we have to be out by the end of the year, we have to start paying some penalties for being there, some pretty expensive rents. And on the Metro garage, they wanted us out a year ago. I have an extension till the fall, which Friday I'm gonna have a conversation with them to get us to the end of the year. They're willing to work with us.
But basically the end of the year for both.
The end of the year is
both
D-Day,
sites.
yes.
Okay.
And everything looks like it's in line to happen, provided these approvals happen.
One question for the alderman from the 17th Ward. What is the shortest street in the city of St. Louis?
The shortest?
It's right here at this side.
Is it?
Race course.
Oh, it's race course?
There, well, I got with somebody, all right.
Is
They
it
only
really?
did-
How long is it? What is it?
I don't know, 80 yards.
Yeah, maybe. And they call it race course?
Well, there used to be a racetrack down. Just a little St. Louis trivia. Well,
There you
thank you
go.
all for coming out,
Yeah,
and the meeting is adjourned.
excellent. Race course, how funny.
Somebody cares,
Yeah, we're.